Fam, it's your boy, Sony Boy 2024, streaming to you live. Yeah, it's been a while since I did a PS5 Chronicles. I've been kind of slacking on that. I'm kind of between, guys, if you had a choice, I could play Stellar Blade or Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. I'm kind of between those two games as far as the next PS5 Chronicles. But let me know in the comments. Let me know which one you want to see, or let me know if you want me to review a different PS5 game before that. But yeah, I need to get back on track with the PS5 Chronicles. I apologize. I've been distracted. As you've probably seen, I'm in love with my Superboy handheld. I'm in love with like the Super Nintendo. Going back and playing all of those classics, which I'm gonna continue to do. I'm gonna try and keep a good even mix of like old and new. You know, I'm playing all these classic retro games, and then I want to still play some modern games that people will know what the hell I'm talking about. What are you guys up to? What's everyone playing these days? I don't even know. I'm so out of touch with like the gaming community. Everyone in chat saying Hollow Knight Silk Song, Hollow Knight 2, Hollow Knight Silk Song, Silk Song, Silk Song, Silk Song, Silk Song. I guess that just came out. Yeah, no. Hollow Knight 1, I played a little bit of that. You can see that in my triple PC review. I didn't really care for it. I didn't have a very good experience at all, but that was because of my hardware. That was not the game's fault. Everyone in chat's saying I need to upgrade my gaming PC. I mean, you're right. I need to upgrade my my gaming rig. That is 100% true. The fact that I really couldn't run even a Hollow Knight speaks volumes about my gaming laptop. And how out of date it is. But yeah, I'm not a PC gamer, as you know. I prefer console. But yeah, no, Silk Song looks really cool. I'm glad that finally came out after like, what, 7 years of delays or something. But yeah, again, see, there's an example. I'm so out of touch with like modern games, what the gaming community's up to. I'm the weirdo that's playing Tetris Attack on Super Nintendo in 2025. I'm sure there's only like 5 people in the United States that can say that right now. But yeah, no, the reason I'm streaming today is I just wanted to, it's also been a while since I did like a change my mind, and I wanted to talk a minute about PS5 because I freaking love the PS5. I do. I'm glad I bought PS5. I love the PS5. I love some of these games that are on there. But I read an interesting article the other day, and I've heard some things, and I wanted to like kind of like give my opinions, give my thoughts, and I actually do have some data, some numbers here I wanted to run by you guys. But yeah, I just want to give my thoughts on the situation. But yeah, long story short, I read a whole thing, and this is like still kind of like rumors, so to speak, but supposedly Sony is just about done with the PS5. Like they're about ready to wash their hands of it. They kind of consider it a failure. And they're already looking towards the PS6. The PlayStation 6 is like already on the horizon, which is so fucking crazy to me. That's so crazy. Like what is it? Like it feels like this just came out. It feels like I just bought my PS5 yesterday. I feel like this system just came out. I had to like look it up, but like yeah, technically the console launched in 2025, so it's been 5 years. So people are already talking about how it's like halfway through its life cycle, which is crazy to me. Like again, it feels like this system just came out. Like, is this another freaking? Oh god, I hope not. Is this another freaking Wii U situation? The Wii U, I bought that like towards the end of its life, which by the way was like 3 years. Its life cycle of like 3 years. But yeah, the Wii U, I bought it towards the end of its life, and then I feel like the next day the Switch came out, and everyone immediately jumped onto the Switch, and I'm like, oh shit, is that what's gonna happen again? Like I finally got a PS5 a little late. I'm finally getting all these games, and then PS6 is gonna be on the shelves tomorrow, and everyone's already moved on to that. Like, oh my god. These consoles are too expensive to come out like this rapidly. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I know that the PlayStation 5 isn't like the hottest seller by any means. Again, like here it is right here. I see games on clearance all the time. I mean, you know, there's all these factors. There's all these things. That's why I kind of want to. I'm gonna be all over the place. I want to talk about a bunch of things today, guys. But yeah, I mean, it definitely says something. I see games on clearance all the time, but like, it doesn't help that games are way too fucking expensive. $70 for a game is insane. Like, people like me are going to wait for things to be on clearance. So I know Sony only looks at like the hard numbers. They look at the sales. They're like, oh well, we're not selling as much as the PS4 did. What's going on? Well, PS4 games weren't $70, were they? So yeah, you're not going to sell as many PS5 games as you sold PS4 games. Like duh. You know, that, oh, there's a B. There's a B. That just makes sense to me. The PS5 I mean, the PS5, when it came out, it was too fucking expensive. The other thing you have to understand, which is so unfair. Let me share some numbers with you. Here's the data, and then I'll give my opinion. So, even though Sony says that the PS5 is a failure, they're ready to wash their hands, it didn't do as well as the PS4. That's actually not entirely true. So, according to the hard data, the PS4 has sold 117 million units throughout its lifespan, and the PS5 has only sold 80 million units. Well, here's the difference. The PS4 has been out since 2013. The PS5 came out in 2020, and it's still going strong. Like, it still has half of its life cycle left. So the fact that it's already surpassed half of the PS4 sales, I think, is a really impressive number. I think that's really good. I think these are good numbers. Also, to be clear, this is back from June 2025. The PS5 sold 77.41 million units as of June 2025, versus the PS4 at the same point in its life cycle had sold 80.62 million. So actually, if you're looking at all things equal, the PS4 and the PS5 sales numbers really aren't that different at all. PS4 is like a little higher, sure, but no, I don't think the PS5 by any stretch of, PS5 is like kind of on track with PS4, and PS4 was by no means a failure either. So, and the other huge thing that you need to take into account with these numbers, which I'm sure the suits at Sony are not, all they see is like the hard numbers, but PS5 had a huge disadvantage that the PS4 did not have. So when PS5 launched in 2020, it was 2020. It was fucking COVID. So, there were many months where people just weren't able to go to a store and buy the damn thing. And guess what? Even once the quarantine period had ended, if you guys remember, no one even had a PS5 in 2020 anyway. Like, I'm talking about stores didn't have it. It was a fucking Wii situation. It was a fucking Switch situation where I remember I would go to stores and people would be asking GameStop all the time, hey, do you have a PS5? No, we don't. Or we only have one. We have one unit. We sold it this morning. I would go into stores. I would go into GameStop, and they'd have a big sign on the door saying, "We do not have PS5," just to cut out any questions like that of that nature. And people would still ask because they can't read. So yeah, I mean, I like, as far as the numbers, I don't think it's even fair to count 2020. Like, how many people actually had a PS5? I would be very curious to know that number. How many people actually owned a PS5 in 2020? Not many. I didn't know anyone that had one. I never even saw one on the store shelf in 2020. So I don't think it's fair to even count that first year. I really don't. I don't count it. I don't count 2020. I think that's bullshit to have to count that as a full year versus the 2013 full year that the PS4 had. It's a completely apples oranges situation. It's not fair to compare those two things. Of course, Sony will. So in my mind, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. So this console's been out 4 years, in my opinion, and people are already talking about how it's on its way out and its life cycle is like halfway over. Like, that's bullshit. That's insane to me. And so many consoles, you have to understand as well, so many consoles take a while to get a fan base, take a while to have like the big games popping off, the killer apps coming out. I mean, this is the other thing I wanted to compare. Let's compare launch titles. Let's compare the launch of these two consoles. Yes, it doesn't help. The PS5's launch kind of sucked, but so did the PS4's launch. Do you remember what like launched on the PS4? Not very much. Infamous Second Son, that was a cool game. Killzone Shadowfall was like an okay shooter, got mixed reviews. PS4 launch titles, Knack, that kind of sucked. And Knack was like Sony's big foot forward. Knack sucked and somehow got a sequel. There was like the Playroom, that packing game. But like, my point being, but then later on the PS4, we got Last of Us 1 Remaster, we got Last of Us 2, we got these killer apps, we got these amazing games later on in the console's life cycle. But the launch kind of sucked. And so similarly, yeah, the PS5, like, you need to give it some time for these games. Like, it took a couple years for Stellar Blade to come out. It took a couple of years for Astro Bot to come out, which was a killer app. That game won Game of the Year. That is the killer app for the PS5, if any. But yeah, the PS5 launch, again, so it didn't help. The console was too expensive. It was too hard to find. Nobody had it. And then, what games are you getting for the PS5? Oh, well, let's see. the best launch game and still one of the best games on PS5 was the packing game Astro's Playroom, which a lot of people didn't play because it's just a tech demo. It's a packing game. Those always suck. So a lot of people didn't play that. There was Sackboy: Big Adventure and Marvel Spider-Man: Miles Morales. Those are two good games. And if you haven't seen it, watch Scott the Waz's PS4, PS5 cross-play video he did. There were so many of these cross-play games, cross-platform games where, yes, Miles Morales is cool, Sackboy is cool. Guess what? They both launched simultaneously on PS4. You did not need to buy a PS5. You could just buy those games. If you really wanted to play them, you could just buy those games for your PS4, and that's fine. And I watched his video. He's done the side-by-side comparisons. Graphically, they don't look that different. Like, they really don't look like that much of a downgrade if you play your games on PS4 still. So it's not worth, for many people, they would look at that situation and say, oh, it's not worth the investment. If I already have PS4, I'm just going to stick with that. And this is a blessing and a curse, but Sony would continue to support the PS4 for so many freaking years, and once again, kind of shooting themselves in the foot type of thing, where, like, yeah, it's great if you're a PS4 owner. You can still play all of these modern games, not just Sackboy or Miles, but like even up to God of War Ragnarok and Horizon 2, those games also launched simultaneously on PS4. Like, it just kept coming out for PS4. Like, you could still play all these modern games. So again, with minimal graphical downgrades, minimal visual downgrades. So for PS4 owners, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to upgrade. Why would I? I'm just going to keep playing modern games. Like, this is great for me. I'm going to keep playing, modern games. But it certainly didn't help the console sales for PS5. So yeah, out of like the launch window, there was Godfall, which sucked. that bombed. The only like launch window PS5 exclusive game that people wanted to play, there was the Demon's Souls remake, which I still have to play. It's on my list. Looks fucking awesome. Looks fire. But it is a remake of a PS3 game. So if you really wanted to, you could just pop in the PS3 disc. Also, it is a Dark Souls game. So it's a really bad thing when your main killer app, your main console seller, so to speak, is a Dark Souls game. It's Demon's Souls remake. When the Dark Souls players, they'll show up, they'll buy it, but they make a small portion of your fan base, of your user base, and then casuals like Slenderboy 2024, who sucks at video games. I don't know much about Dark Souls. All I've heard is these games are brutally difficult. They're too hard for casuals like me. So I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it. You can see, I bought my PS5. I didn't jump right on the Demon's Souls remake, did I? Because it's too hard. Because I knew I'd be frustrated, and I wanted a game that I could actually, beat in a couple of sittings. So I bought something else instead of Demon's Souls remake. So there you go. That's why we had low sales in the launch window. In a nutshell. But like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. It also doesn't help. Let me talk about. It also doesn't help that like you hear all these. The PS5 got a bad reputation for being too expensive, especially the PS5 Pro. And then you had all these accessories, all these like side things that came out, like let's look at the PlayStation VR 2. Okay, way too freaking expensive, more expensive than the PS5, and it bombed, and there were no games for it. Boom. So there's that. Then you had, which also got bad PR, the PlayStation Portal, which was, some people looked at this and were confused. They thought it was like a Switch. It is not. It is a controller that has a screen that can stream. It can stream games from your PS5. You have to already own a PS5. So, and this was like a glorified $200 controller. So you had to already have a $500 PS5, and then you had to buy a $200 controller to stream your games to your handheld device when you could just play them on the TV. Like, people were still like confused by what the hell the Portal was. The advertising was really bad. The marketing was bad and confusing, and not it didn't really clear things up. So accessories like the VR2 and the Portal bombed and kind of gave the PS5 a bad reputation as well. So that didn't help either. The other thing that didn't help, and let me be very clear, I want to say something about the DualSense controller, okay? The DualSense, and this is my limited edition Astrobot controller. I love this thing. First of all, the DualSense is my favorite controller, and here's like my favorite variant. I love this Astrobot controller. This looks so like this looks like out of a sci-fi film. This looks like a freaking something the Jetsons would have. You know, I love this controller so much. But but yeah, the controller is quite amazing, and you don't really get to see that until you play something like Astro's Playroom, which a lot of people skipped over. But when you play a game that takes full advantage of the DualSense, and I'm talking about the microphone, the adaptive triggers, like you're using the crossbow in Horizon, and you can do like a half depress versus a full depress to like really draw the bow back. Sorry, I can't talk. It makes a huge difference. Like, I've never played with a controller like this before. The adaptive triggers, the haptic feedback. This is why I want to play Battlefield 2042, because of the haptic feedback. When you're walking on like sand or mud or a metal grating, like you feel it in your feet, like you feel like the terrain that you're walking on. And same thing with Astro's Playroom does the same thing. Very, very few games took advantage of these features, and it's a shame because it's a unique experience that you can only get on PS5, and that's what they need. That's what they needed to push to sell these things. They needed to really push this controller to its limits, constantly pop out games that were like, hey, you know, you can only get this experience on PS5. The Xbox controller can't do this shit. And it's true. This can do things that the Xbox controller can't do, and they never pushed that in the marketing or in the games they were producing. You know, period. And even the Sony produced games, like even the Sony published games weren't, only Astrobot took advantage of this controller, which is crazy. Like, again, you need to be pushing this shit so that people will want your product. What sets it apart, you know? But yeah, like even today, there are so few games that are PS5 exclusive. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, it's been out for 5 years, and we still don't have that many killer apps. Like Demon's Souls Remake, Astrobot, Miles was on PS4. Spider-Man 2 is finally exclusive. Okay, Spider-Man 2, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. So that's you know, also not, you know, cross-platform. Trying to think. Last of Us Part 1. But, you know, that's like the third rendition of Last of Us. Let's not even count Last of Us Part 1. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm pretty sure that was only on PS5. Final Fantasy 16. So yeah, we got like 6 killer apps or so after 5 years. It's just there were two. They shot themselves in the foot. There's too many that are available on other platforms. There's too many games that are also available on PS4, and we're also in a new territory where this isn't going to help either. Everything seems to be swapping over. Like, everything is on everything else. Like all of Sony's exclusives, like even what was it? My buddy told me the other day. What's it? Not Killzone. What's the other one? Shit, that's gonna bother me. Okay, anyway. But yeah, that online multiplayer only game, that's a Sony game. It's launched on Xbox. You can play that on Xbox now. Oh, Helldivers 2, which was PlayStation only. Helldivers 2. No, it's on Xbox now. And same token, Gears of War is coming to PS5. So everything's on everything else now. Xbox is on PS5. PS5 is on Xbox. So you have to own one of those two consoles. But again, it doesn't really push me in the direction of like, oh, you need a PS5. Well, actually, you don't. You can play Gears and Helldivers on Xbox now. So you don't. You don't need anything but a PS4 to play all of the Sony games, like, you know, or PC. They're all on PC now. You can play God of War Ragnarok on PC, which is cool as far as like more people being able to play that game. It's not so cool for their sales numbers for PS5. When God of War Ragnarok was PS5 only, like, yeah, people would buy it for that game. I'm sure they would have. But now there's so many other options. What else did I want to say? Oh yeah. My favorite hit I wanted to briefly mention. So people are, again, this is just all these rumors, but people are saying that the PS6, the hypothetical PlayStation 6, it's going to be like a hybrid handheld console, kind of like the Switch, and it's going to resemble the PlayStation Vita. This is my favorite handheld of all time, by the way, PlayStation Vita, because it's not the most power. I mean, it was damn powerful for the time. It's not the most powerful handheld, but guess what? I love how it feels in the hand. I love how the buttons feel. I love how it feels in the hand. I love how small it is. I love the back trackpad. It's actually a handheld, unlike, don't get me wrong, things like, the Game Gear, things like the Switch or the Steam Deck. They're cool, they're powerful, but they're too fucking big, man. Like, you get to a point you can't call this a handheld. I say the same thing about the PlayStation Portal. Look at how big that thing is. No. A handheld, in my mind, like, look at the Vita. I can put this in my back pocket. I can put this in my coat pocket and get on the bus, and I'm on the bus, and I can whip this thing out and play a couple minutes of Persona 5 Golden or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the only good handheld that's truly a handheld, in my opinion, because the shit, like, take like the Switch OLED, which is even bigger, or the Switch 2, which is even bigger, or take like the Steam Deck. Yes, I want to see you put that in your fucking pocket. I want to see you put that in your jacket pocket. It's like jutting out. It's like jutting out, or it's in your back pocket, and it's like so heavy it like makes your pants fall down. You're like, no, those are not handhelds. You're not taking those on the bus. I'm sorry, you're not. You're absolutely not. So that's where the Vita gets major points for me. But yeah, again, all hypothetical. If Sony were to do a PS Vita 2, or if like this PlayStation 6 truly is like a Switch situation where it's like partially a Vita, yeah, that would be fire. I would want to play that. That'd be fire. Supposedly that's going to launch in 2027, which is fucking crazy to me. Like, that's only 2 years away. The PS5 is only halfway through its life cycle. I don't know. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Again, looking at the hard data, PS5 actually didn't sell that badly, especially considering its launch window was in 2020, which I really don't think should count. And it's only, give it time. Sony, like, you're giving up too, like, this is what they always do. This is how they gave up on the Vita, because after like a year or two it didn't sell very well. Like, these things take time. It takes time for like these killer app games to come out. It takes time for people to buy your product, or to be able to buy your product in the PS5's case. It takes time for your fan base to grow. Give your PS5 some time. Let more exclusives come out. People will buy it. I bought it. I bought the PS5 late. I waited like 3 or 4 years to buy it, but I bought it and I love it. The PS5 is an amazing console, and Sony should not, that's my opinion, you can disagree with me, change my mind. Sony should not declare the PS5 dead at this point. It's only going to get better, in my opinion. I think it's only going to grow. I think lifetime sales, it will outsell the PS4. We saw the numbers. It's already on its way to outselling the PS4 as far as lifetime sales. So how the fuck can you possibly consider that a failure by any stretch of the imagination? How can you look at games like Spider-Man 2 or Astro Bot and consider this a failure of a console? Like, seriously, that's wild. Horizon 2, God of War Ragnarok. I could go all day with all these like killer app. I just showed you two. I held up Ghost of Tsushima. I held up Stellar Blade. Any console that has Stellar Blade, you're gonna tell me that's a failure? Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. But yeah, some mistakes were definitely made. I say this about most consoles, but like most consoles have pretty weak launches. It's rare that you have something like the Switch 2 where like they have like freaking Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza are already out. The game, I feel like the console just came out yesterday, and so already have these two games that people are foaming at the mouth about. That's very rare, rare. That's very rare. But yeah, mistakes. I think it was a mistake to make so many games cross-platform. I think they should have made Miles and Spider-Man, or Miles and Sackboy PS5 exclusives. I think they should have made God of War Ragnarok and Horizon 2 exclusives to PS5. I don't think they should have put so many games on PC, because now PC gamers can just play them that way, and they don't have to buy a PS5. Again, if your goal is to sell PS5 consoles and you're looking so hard at those console numbers, then give people a reason to buy the PS5. I think they should make more games that take advantage of the DualSense. Follow the example. And I was hoping this would happen when Astro Bot won fucking Game of the Year. Maybe turn some heads. Maybe get some more developers to realize, oh, people like it when we take full advantage of the DualSense. Let's do that with our games. Let's do that. So far, no, people haven't really done that, unfortunately. But yeah, I love my PS5. I think it's insane to call it dead. And if there is a PS6 on the horizon, yeah, I mean, on the horizon. There will probably be a Horizon on the PS6. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I just got a PS5. I'm not getting a new console anytime soon, but yeah, I mean, especially if they bring back the Vita in some form, I'll get that eventually, like 2027 or beyond. Yeah, maybe I'll think about getting that. So yeah.